Hi, I'm Camila.
And I'm Ian. Today we're reviewing Don't Worry Darling, and Gabe and Cam are going on the spot to review Midsummer.
Let's check out the trailer for Don't Worry Darling.
I have it.
Focus, right here.
Let's have a little drink. Yeah, I will.
You and me.
Always. You and me.
All of you wives. We men, we ask a lot. We ask for strength, food at home, a house cleaned, and discretion above all else.
Boys and their toys. At least we know they're getting work done.
Welcome to the Victory Project.
We're all here because we believe in the mission.
What are we doing?
Changing the world.
What are we doing?
Changing the world.
That's right.
What do you think they're really doing out there?
What do you mean? The one thing they ask of us is to stay here. Where it's safe.
Do you even know what the Victory Project actually is? Have you ever asked?
Do you?
Please. What's actually happening?
Stop it, Alice.
What if this place is dangerous? What if...
No. Jack, it's okay. I'm curious to hear where she's going with this.
I need you to listen to me. They're lying about everything.
We are not going backwards. We're pushing forward.
Everyone is acting like I'm crazy. And I'm not crazy.
Our life together. We could lose this.
I don't trust him. And I don't want to be here anymore.
Hello, before we start our review for Don't Worry Darling, I'd like to say that this film covers very heavy themes, and we at the review crew believe that you should do your own research into the themes of this film before going to see it for yourself.
Okay. Initial thoughts.
I didn't love it.
Okay.
I don't want to be mean to all the Don't Worry Darling fans out there, all three of you, but I don't think that the film was made great. One of the things that I really walked out of the theater thinking about was a scene very on at the beginning of the film when everyone's over at the main future.
Party.
Yeah, it's the party.
Yeah.
And there's just a lens flare on screen
Yeah.
the entire time.
Yeah, the
it
entire
was
time.
driving me crazy. But that's just like, it's just like some like technical things like that, and just like the like scenic design. I don't know, it just kind of, everything felt kind of off, including the acting, so it just wasn't, it wasn't for me.
Yeah, like, I mean, Harry Styles is right. Definitely felt like a movie, but I think it felt too much of like a movie for him because of everything that happened off camera. I'm not sure if you know.
No, I don't know, please.
There's so much tension on set. And it's all like revolving around the relationship with Olivia Wilde and Harry Styles. There's like a rumor that Olivia Wilde was still with her now ex-husband before, like as she was like getting herself into things with Harry Styles, and Florence Pugh felt very uncomfortable about it. So that's kind of where it all started.
Okay.
Yeah. So that kind of affected everything else, including like everything that happened at the Venice Film Festival.
Yeah.
Clearly, that was also filled with a lot of tension. Apparently, Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine while he was there. Obviously, that was debunked. It wasn't true, but I could see where he was coming from with all the drama.
And yeah, I think you can kind of tell that the whole cast doesn't really like each other.
Yes.
None of them have any chemistry. They're supposed to be all like these like great neighbors, like the ideal like cul-de-sac group of people, but like you can tell that they don't like each other, and you can tell like there's just so much awkwardness and like weird tension between every single actor in that movie, and it's just so bizarre to watch.
It feels so forced.
It does. Everything in it feels just incredibly forced.
And Harry Styles originally wasn't the lead in this movie, or I mean, he really wasn't the lead. Florence Pugh was, but he wasn't supposed to play that character. Shia LaBeouf was supposed to play that character.
Okay. I think that would have gone better. I think Shia LaBeouf is a better actor than Harry Styles.
Yeah.
But don't like Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah.
I think he doesn't need more roles. But if he was just a normal person, I think he would have played that role just so much better than Harry Styles.
I mean, Shia LaBeouf, he has an interesting history regarding a lot of the distressing themes in the movie. So I think him also just being in the movie would have been a little problematic.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I completely see why they took him out of the movie.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think the right answer was Harry Styles, guys.
I don't know. I feel like Olivia Wilde just like asked Harry Styles like, hey, I don't have an actor, like come do this movie for me real quick. That's honestly what it felt like.
I mean, and it makes perfect sense as to why that would happen.
Yeah, I agree though. There's no chemistry.
No chemistry between anyone, especially Florence Pugh and Harry Styles.
Yes.
They were supposed to be like, you just don't feel it.
Yeah,
I don't believe that they're in love.
Yeah, I think also like the interactions between Olivia Wilde and Florence Pugh in the movie also felt like there was just like no chemistry. But obviously because they were like screaming at each other like off camera, like behind the scenes. So I think a lot of that tension transferred over to the big screen.
Yeah, I think this film will definitely go down in history as one that's like what happens when things are falling apart behind the scenes. I wish there was what's that? Is it Apocalypse Now? Is that the documentary, or is that the movie that the documentary is based on?
Oh, I don't know.
I completely forget.
I did too.
But there's just like it's just like more well known than the actual movie, which I think would be perfect for this movie. I would love to see what was happening on set and what's going on.
Yeah, I want a movie about the drama behind the scenes of the movie.
I'm sure in 10 years we'll get a movie about like a bunch of famous people putting on a movie, and it's inspired by this
I hope so. I really hope so. But another thing I wanted to mention was this was for the most part an all-white cast. One of the main characters, her name is Kiki Lane. She played, I think her name was Margaret.
Yeah.
Yeah, Margaret. She played Margaret, but she was such an essential role to the movie.
Yeah.
And she went on Instagram and said that she was actually edited out for most of it. Yeah.
That's so actually insane to me because she is what kind of drives the mystery of the movie, and the movie would have really benefited with more scenes from her, and especially with like where her character goes, and like I think she kind of disappears too early, and I think that's a main problem with the movie, the pacing, that like you don't really get. You think it's gonna be like Florence Pugh's like figuring out what's happening in this weird like place, and like what's actually going on here. But like it just keeps like dangling like something's going on here in front of you the entire movie.
Like the entire movie, she's just spiraling.
Yeah.
Like that's all it is. But yeah, I like Kiki Lane. I honestly feel like had her scenes not been edited out, this movie would have been more. It would have been a little better.
It would have been better.
Yeah, but also like Kiki Lane is a woman of color, and women in the film industry already don't get enough recognition. So for a woman of color to be heavily edited out of a movie that has a vital role in it, it's a little problematic.
Especially with the scenes that they actually kept in. I did not need to see Harry Styles tap dancing for 7 minutes straight. That scenes could have been used for much better things.
Right.
And actually move the plot forward.
Right. Yeah. Like she also wasn't invited to like any of the red carpet events. So I honestly did not know that she was a character until I watched the movie.
That's so crazy because I would call her a supporting actress.
Yeah.
Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
She's one of the main supporting actresses, and she actually. It's not like you don't get invited to the red carpet if you have like 3 lines, but
Yeah.
she's so prominent in the movie and she sets everything up. It's just crazy that would happen.
It's definitely a little problematic. And I think what came out afterwards is Olivia Wilde had gone on Instagram and posted a story saying that all she does is edit the movie. That's all she does. So it definitely seems like Olivia Wilde had a pretty big responsibility in editing out Kiki Lane throughout the movie. So.
Yeah, and talking about those scenes of the movie, and we'll talk more about that right after this break.
My name is Jenna Cooper, and I'm the relationship psychologist.
My name is Paige Phillips. I am the astrologer, and this
is Psych vs. Stars.
Acting.
Yeah, there was acting in this movie.
Yeah, there was.
It's hard to deny that.
Yeah, there was. It was interesting.
It's such like a crazy cast of people, not even just like outside of the drama. If there was no drama, I'd still be in absolute awe of what I was watching on screen.
I mean, before Don't Worry Darling, Harry Styles had done Dunkirk a couple years prior, and I had watched it. Not just because Harry was in it, let's establish that first. I'd watched it with my brother, but it was his first movie. He was still like learning the ropes. So I think some of it kind of translated over to this new movie.
And I think it's definitely more of like an old Hollywood trope, but like singers breaking into acting. I think it's definitely something you used to see more often. And I think Harry Styles might make a name for himself one day as an actor. It's not today, though.
Yeah, because I agree. I love Harry Styles, but it's acting right now just isn't it.
Yeah, this isn't for him. Focus on music, buddy.
I think I think also like in the movie Harry Styles is a character playing a character, and I think it kind of got lost in translation there.
I completely agree. I don't think Harry himself was he wasn't in 2 layers deep. He was probably in a half layer deep.
Yeah.
So like he wasn't fully in there. I never thought that I was watching, what's his name, Nick?
Yeah.
Okay, I never thought I was watching Nick. I thought I was watching Harry Styles.
His name's Jack.
Jack. Sorry.
Jack Chambers, yeah. Yeah, that's his name. Yeah, I agree. I think like in his head, he was just like, okay, like I'm an actor in this movie. I need to be this actor, but he didn't process that he was an actor playing a character.
Exactly.
Like, do you know what I mean? Yeah.
He wasn't a person playing a character.
Yes.
He was Harry Styles.
Yeah.
Which might do it for some people, but not me, who's not in love with Harry Styles.
Yeah, I think also like we mentioned earlier, like the chemistry with other actors in the movie. I think it's on both sides. Like, I like the interactions between like Olivia Wilde and Florence Pugh. Olivia's acting. Olivia's acting was different. I felt like she was trying to make herself look better than all the other actors.
Yeah, I agree. Her character is actually really interesting if you see the movie and you realize what everything means, because it took me like 2 days to be like, oh my god.
No, me too. Yeah.
But she's like such an interesting character. I think it's such a waste on her that she wasn't bringing that, because again, she also wasn't 2 layers deep. I think that's something a lot of people missed. But like someone like Florence Pugh, who only had to be 1 layer deep, I think that's part of the reason why she did such a fantastic job. And I think she really brought it. I think the other actors definitely wore down my interpretation of her performance, but I think she definitely brought her all to this movie. And she couldn't save it, but she did her best.
Yeah, I think a lot of these actors definitely got lost in translation. I feel like I almost felt like almost too much was going on.
Yeah. I completely agree.
Yeah.
The movie was too cluttered and fast-paced for how little was happening.
Yeah.
So as you felt like a lot was happening, but the plot never progresses.
Right. It, like I said earlier, it's literally just Florence Pugh spiraling.
Yeah,
the
it
entire
is.
time.
She just spirals the entire time,
Yeah.
and then in the last 10 minutes, everything is revealed, and the movie just ends.
Yeah. It's definitely. It was a movie. It was quite a movie. But I mean, there were also the roles of like Chris Pine and Nick Kroll, which I wasn't expecting either.
I actually yelled Nick Kroll out loud in the movie theater when he came on screen because I was so shocked.
Yeah, it was.
To see him.
Like these roles are just so like I wasn't expecting this type of cast.
It's such a strange cast. I think Nick Kroll is probably one of the worst casting decisions for a movie like this. He's just like he looks like he's built for comedy, and like you can't, and like even his voice, you can't really like get him out of that. I think he probably did one of the better jobs of the actors in the movie, but it was just Nick Kroll, which was like, it was just so weird to see Nick Kroll.
Right. It especially like with the costume designs because I think it takes place like
in the 50s.
In the 50s,
yeah.
I think is what it takes place in. So the costume design for Nick Kroll almost made him look better.
Yeah. I think Nick Kroll looked better than normal Nick Kroll. I think he looked less of like a Big Mouth character.
Yeah.
Which was crazy.
Yeah. But I mean, Chris Pine, on the other hand, his role and his like acting in the movie was phenomenal.
I think Chris Pine, he did a really good job. I think he was one of the people. I think he definitely played the 2 layers deep very well, which I think is very vital for this movie, which a lot of people didn't pick up on. But yeah, I think Chris Pine and Florence Pugh are definitely the standout performances in this movie. But don't go see it for them because everybody else just ruins it.
Yeah, Chris Pine, like, amazing. Like, I think he was the one that was able to like truly embody a character playing another character.
That monologue he had at the dinner table that's shown in the trailers, I think it's such a great job.
Yeah, it like he gives off just so much like he just gives off like very mysterious vibes and like just truly embodied like the entire thing.
You can tell he's at like the center of it all, but you don't know exactly what it all is without getting directly told it, which I think makes that a bad twist.
And it's really hard to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very hard to do that. So he did it so seamlessly. Yeah.
I completely agree.
Yeah. But Florence Pugh, I mean, she did an amazing job. Florence Pugh is an amazing actress. I've seen a lot of her work. So she does do a very good job. But like you said earlier, like she only had to just embody one character. She wasn't impersonating anybody else. So I think that's what was able to let her bring her full potential out on the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah. But also like Florence Pugh was the lead, but because she was like in the center of the movie, I think she was able to, I don't know how to explain it, but she was able to like tie everything together in a way like just so seamlessly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like she might have been going crazy in the entire movie, but she portrayed it perfectly.
I think she does portray like the spiral pretty well.
Yeah.
I think the only problem I have with the spiral was the way it was written, but I think she really worked with what she had, and I think that's what's important.
Yeah, I think so too. But also just it's just everyone's interactions just seem so forced.
Yeah.
And that's what was throwing me off the entire time.
And it just drives anybody who's watching the movie just crazy.
Yeah,
that like they feel like something's off.
Yeah.
And things being off considered, what would you rate this movie out of 10?
I'm gonna give it a solid 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that's that disrespectful.
Okay.
I'm going to give it probably about a 3 out of 10.
Okay.
The acting's horrible, cinematography's horrible, score is horrible.
Yeah.
But there are just like a few things that I can see a hint of a good movie in there, which is what really hurts about this movie.
Yeah. They had a good idea, just didn't do it properly.
And now we're going to kick it over to commercial.
Welcome back to Review Crew.
On today's episode, we're going to review Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Here's a trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Let's talk about this movie now.
Let's talk about it. I liked it a lot.
I love Kick-Ass.
There are parts of me that want to just go through frame by frame and see every single multiverse when they'd have those flashes.
Yeah, the big flashes. Me too.
Talented, funny, handsome. Tim,
come on.
You got it all, buddy. You're like my own person.
Look who's talking. Come on.
See you next week.
And now we're going to kick it over to our on-the-spot correspondents, Gabe and Cam, who are reviewing Midsommar. Let's check it out.
Hey everybody, I'm Gabe.
And I'm Cameron.
And this week we're reviewing Midsommar. Let's take a look at that trailer.
I told you that I want to go to that festival in Sweden.
No, you said it would be cool to go.
Yeah, and then I got the opportunity and I decided
Look,
to do it.
I don't mind you going. I just wish you would have told me, that's all.
Dude, she needs a therapist. You've been wanting out of this stupid relationship for like a year now.
And don't forget about all of the beautiful Swedish women you'll meet in June.
Okay, guys.
That's not her again. Seriously?
Babe, what's happening? Danny.
I was so very sorry to hear about what happened.
I'm sorry.
I invited Danny to come to Sweden.
You know what she's been going through.
Christian says you've got this special week planned.
It's sort of a crazy festival. Special ceremonies and dressing up.
That sounds fun.
Unbelievable.
Welcome and happy Midsummer. Skål!
What time is it?
9 p.m.
That can't be right. The sky is blue.
This is what 9 p.m. is like here.
How long have you two been together?
Just over 3.5 years.
4 years.
Really?
Yeah?
What do you think?
It's like another world.
Tomorrow's a big day.
Is it scary?
What is it?
It has special properties. What am I going through?
We just need to acclimate.
I don't want to acclimate, I want to go.
Absolutely not.
What's happening? I don't know why you invited us.
That's why you look so guilty right now, because you know.
We only do this every 90 years. I was most excited for you to come.
Now, before we begin our review, we think it's really important to issue a trigger warning for this movie. We're not going to be discussing any specific plot details, but this movie deals with some themes of gaslighting, mental health, and emotional abuse that we feel like isn't exactly suitable for everyone. So maybe before you check this out, run through the internet to see if what personally triggers you is in this movie. Now, Cam, Midsommar. A24, definitely one of, I think, the strangest movies I've seen in a long time. It is a girl boss, gaslight, gatekeep special, combined with a little bit of a horror movie. I don't really know what genre to call this movie. So before we start, okay, that's what I'm asking. Before we start, what genre do you think this movie is?
I'd say it's horror because it's kind of like, again, these people go a little bit hostile-ish. It goes to a different country, a strange place where they don't know where they are, and then like seems that everyone else in the community knows something that these Americans don't.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd say it's kind of like a horror movie, and then like no spoilers, right?
No, let's not spoil it.
Okay.
Let's not spoil it.
But yeah, but like they have some horror movie elements.
Yeah, I think I would agree that this movie is a horror, but I think it's artful horror, like art house horror.
You could have art house horror.
Similar to like a Velvet Buzzsaw, the Jake Gyllenhaal Netflix horror movie. Not really like Jordan Peele, but there's definitely some inspiration there, and I think that's definitely something we've seen over these last 7 years since Get Out was made. Somewhere around there.
2017.
Yeah, so somewhere around there, where we've seen this like distinct fingerprints from Get Out on just about every horror movie, kind of tying everything back to trauma. So, this movie, it's a little bit of a strange plot. We've got this girl who lost her family. She lives with her boyfriend, and they take this vacation to, I believe, Sweden. I'm fairly certain, but it's definitely somewhere Norwegian. And they get there, and everybody is acting like a wackadoodle. And so, that's putting it nicely. Calling them a wackadoodle is putting it nicely. And so we see them, kind of lying to them, manipulating them, gaslighting them. And what happens is this extreme chain of events where Florence Pugh's character just has her psyche fully broken. So what I kind of want to start with, or not start with, but kind of continue with and really dive into, is Florence Pugh's performance in this. It's very, very difficult to, act as broken as she is in this and not have it come off as maybe tacky. So what are your thoughts on her performance? Because she's really the anchor of this movie.
I thought it was really good. This is Ari Aster, so
Yep.
he does a very good job at showing people who are broken and traumatized and
defeated. Yeah.
Just and he always seems to get good performances out of his actors. So I'm not giving him full credit because Florence Pugh definitely does put in a great performance. And while it does seem tacky, it's like this lady's lost everything. It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we've definitely got some memes from Midsummer. The Florence Pugh panic attack ? Face that I know you do a pretty good impression of. I don't know if you want to give our viewers on OTN a look at it. Oh, well, check our social media. Maybe I'll get Cam to do one there. And so I think Florence Pugh is a really admirable performance, but I don't think that's the thing that anchors this film most. I'm going to argue that the cinematography of this film, because the writing of this movie is pretty blasé. We've seen it before. Like you said, a lot of inspiration from Eli Roth's Hostel, which I know is a very controversial horror film, but extremely important, I think, to the modern genre. But it comes off feeling a little bit derivative of Hostel, which isn't a bad thing, but I think, you gotta point it out. But the cinematography of this, the way they turn this, beautiful, welcoming Norwegian community into, essentially, they take the joy in it and keep ramping that joy up visually into okay, these people are too happy. There's something...
It's creepy.
Exactly. There's something sinister going on here. And so the way that Ari Aster gets that out of his shots, it works perfectly. The other thing, technically, that I think goes along with that really, really well is the score. This movie uses a score that's kind of similar to The Northman in the sense that it relies a lot on, not exactly big vocal choirs, but it does use some. But more, it bears its European influences on the score, very Baroque classical music. So do you kind of want to talk about, especially in horror, just how important that score is when it comes to emotional manipulation?
The score is so important in horror. Think about the greatest horror movies of all time.
Okay.
I'd say probably 80% of them you can remember, the score.
Halloween,
the score sticks out.
Halloween comes right to mind.
Yeah, The Shining.
Yep.
We talked about it in an earlier episode. Child's Play has a great score. It's Jaws.
Jaws is an incredible score.
So many horror movies. I think that the score is always so important in a horror movie because again, looking at have someone list their top 10 favorite horror movies, most likely 8 out of 10 of those will have a memorable score.
Yeah, no, for sure. And so, memorable. I love that word because that's what this movie is. I think for me, Midsommar isn't a movie I'm necessarily going to watch over and over again, but it's kind of like 2019's Joker, which was my film from 2019. I thought that was the best one. Another film that, obvious trigger warning going with that, of course. But the visuals in that movie, you will not forget what you've seen with Joker, Midsommar, and like Camila and Ian are talking about right now in the studio. Don't worry, darling. So, we talked about how memorable it is. We talked about Florence Pugh's performance. We talked about all these things. Midsommar, 1 to 10, what are you giving it?
I'd probably give it, this is kind of a low rating, but a 6.5 to a 7.
Okay.
Because, again, maybe it's I came in with too high expectations because I'm a big fan of Hereditary. So I came in thinking that it was going to be really kind of match that.
Yeah.
And it's just Hereditary's a better movie than
Midsommar. 100%.
So maybe it's just me being disappointed. Maybe if it was made by another director, I would have given it a higher rating. But I was a little bit disappointed by the movie.
I think I'm going to give it a 7 as well. My biggest issue with this is that the bodies don't start dropping until very, very late in the movie, and
it's kind of slow for
exactly. And so by the time that it does, you're like, well, this kind of underwhelmed. It's still a very good movie, very memorable, but I think a 7 is a very fair score. So with that, let's go back over to the studio.
Thanks, guys. We'll be right back for more after this.
That's all for this week. If you want to follow more Review Crew content, go to the Review Crew Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, as well as Orange TV Network on Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, and YouTube. Find the Review Q's podcast on Spotify or on our website at orangetvnetwork.syr.edu, where you can also find our blog and more OTN information. We'll see you next week.